Hello again. For a long time, we didn't do any lives, but that had his reasons. But now we're back, and we have a really great guest, and I'm going to look it up right now. And we had some problems to get in, but so that's really good. I hope everybody who is looking is going fine, going well. December, time of the year that everybody's going to get together with candles and trees and uh, and whatever. I'm trying to get the guy in. Cool. Ah, okay. You want to be? Yeah. It's no problem. If you invite me, it's okay. And so, I don't know what's happening, but I have to invite him again. It's always, the stuff with the yes, pura vida.
There we are.
Here we are. Crazy. It's the time of the year we are always, you know, busy with this Christmas thing which is coming up,
Oh boy.
and yeah. Oh boy,
Oh boy.
oh boy. Yeah. Well, Christmas everywhere. Not here in the office, but I don't see anything Christmas at your house either.
No, I have a little tree.
Wow. Well,
That's
that's a
about it.
little
That's all
tree.
I got in here.
Oh, okay. Let me show ours. Let me show our tree, right? This is the icon one. Can we see it?
Oh yeah, yours is much more festive than mine.
Yeah, it's really festive. It's really. And look, uh, I got something here which is saying something really funny. Dear Santa, for Christmas I want a big fat bank account
Amen.
and a thin body. Please don't mix it up like you did last year.
Amen to that.
Amen to that. Enough Christmas. Hope everything is all right. This is Icon Selections Connects, the Instagram live, which I'm doing for a time right now. You're the 11th guest.
11th.
Uh,
Wow, you're dedicated. I like it.
yeah, well, we had some problems with other people who couldn't be at the date that we put it in, and I couldn't find any replacements. But hey, we are starting again with you, and we have, and I think it's really nice to have you there with us. Please introduce yourself to the people.
I can do that. Everybody, my name is Derek Woodruff. I'm owner of Floral Underground. I live in Michigan. I'm in Traverse City, Michigan. If you don't know where that is, here we go. It's up here
Okay.
in Michigan. I'm a studio florist, so we're actually in my studio now, and in this studio, I do workshops. I do flowers for accounts, so I have a hotel, I have some restaurants, churches, homes, and I also do subscription boxes for the DIY recreational floral designer. I'm also a brand ambassador for Syndicate Sales and 46 and Spruce, so I do a lot of travel with them and do workshops, stage programs, lots of different kinds of educational opportunities. I do trade shows, style booths, photo shoots, video shoots. I do a lot with them. I kind of have like two full-time jobs, actually. So that's kind of me in a
I'm, uh,
nutshell.
I'm flabbergasted by all that.
I don't like to be
And you,
bored, you know?
no, no, and I know you do a really good job, so the people are booking you, I think.
Yeah. I'm busy pretty much all year round. You know, this time of year is busy with holiday decorating and holiday parties and workshops.
Hmm.
So that's just kind of what December is, and it'll be over before we know it.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, well, yeah. December, it goes really quick. Here in Colombia, the people going crazy because it's December. The 1st of December, they put fireworks and stuff because it's the 1st of December. Yeah, it's crazy. But before you know it, it's January.
Yeah, yeah. And then we'll be ready. Well, then it's Valentine's.
And the people here in the flowers are already preparing for Valentine's. So yeah, man, time is flying.
Yeah.
Hey, for the other people who just entered, my name is Guillermo Maecha. I'm the commercial director of Icon Selections. We are a breeder of chrysanthemum and roses. And I do this Instagram live every 2 weeks with very interesting guests. And today we have Derek, and we are going to try to talk about a lot of things. And I want to start off. Can you tell a little bit about how did you knew us? How did you get in contact with us?
So I made my first trip to Colombia this summer when I went to the
Woo-hoo!
trials. I know I've been waiting to go. You know, working with Syndicate, I'm always on the hard good sides of things, so I don't really get to see the fresh flowers as much as other people in the industry. And Liberty Blooms, love them. They're awesome, and they brought me down to Colombia to visit all of the different breeders with them for the palm trials. And that is
Yeah,
how I got to go to Icons for the very first time and see it all in public. And it was really amazing. It was such a cool trip.
yeah, I can imagine. For our viewers, it's really good to know that Liberty Blooms are the guys who represent Uniflor, which is the farm which is growing the product of Liberty Blooms. So yeah, now it was really great to have you. Please tell us your experience here in Colombia. What did you saw? What did you felt? How did you find all this? Because I can imagine it was really amazing, but also like a lot.
It was a lot, and we did it pretty fast because I was only there like 3 full days. I think I got in on a Sunday night and I left on a Thursday morning. So like Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, the whole day was just spent from going to farm to farm to breeder to farm to breeder to farm, and I saw so many mums. And that's pretty much. I mean, I saw a little bit more in some places, but mostly just chrysanthemums. And I saw so many of them, like to the point where I couldn't even tell you which breeder was growing which variety because there were so many.
Yeah, it's crazy. I know.
And
Yes,
I
I
really,
know.
it was fun for me because it was neat to see that process because there's so many flowers at that level that we as designers might never get to see based on
No.
what the farms pick up. So
Yeah.
that was really interesting.
And it's great that you mentioned this. Could this change a little bit in the future?
Hopefully, I mean, I got a lot of really good welcome from everybody being a designer. I kind of like felt a little timid being there because it was like, do I belong here? You know, but everybody really loved the idea of having somebody that's working with their product present to give them feedback on their products. You know, if it's something that's in its infancy, what can they do to make it better? Or, you know, what about this color palette? How do you feel about this for fall colors or for year round? Just things like that. Like the discussions
Yeah.
that came from it was very enlightening for everybody and to me as well. So I think the integration of that over time would benefit everybody.
Yeah, nice. Um, what types of stuff did you saw like which really impressed you from the breeder's perspective? No, from a designer's perspective, seeing the first line of all these flowers.
I mean, it was really amazing to me to see the diversity and varieties, and kind of what that taught me as a designer from a designer perspective is like a lot of that really cool wild stuff that I was seeing there gets weeded out. You know what I mean? And that's the kind of
Yeah,
stuff that I love to work with. And
word.
when I put that kind of stuff in one of my hotel accounts, for example, people notice. You know, managers from the hotel are texting me. They're like, "What is this flower? What is this called?" Because people don't see that kind of thing,
No.
and the idea that we don't really have that on a larger domestic market here means that those kinds of new cool things are being removed before we get to have access to them. And we want them. I told them, I was like, "Hey, that weird thing, I want that. That weird color, I want that." Like those
Yeah.
are the things that I want. So hopefully that makes a difference. It'd be fun to see.
Yeah. And when you talk with the guys of Uniflor, is there an opportunity to get those things in?
Yeah, I think so for sure because we were also there with their operations director. So he's making the choices on what they're going to bring in, what they're going to try, right? And so there are some things that he would not even have chosen, but I was there and I was like, "You need to try this. This is really cool. Designers will like this." And he says, "Okay, we'll bring it in. We'll try it." And I said, "Okay,
Okay.
so let's say you bring it in and you try it and it goes well and it works for what you guys do. When will I see it?" And it's like a year. It's like that's a long process.
It's a long process, yeah, it's a long process. And I think also we cannot forget that when all these strange things are just a new small niche of the market. So when we talk about farms and talk about production, well, the biggest are the daisies white, daisy yellow, daisy pink, cushion white, and all of that.
Yeah.
And there is a really small part which is the exquisite, strange, luxurious, you name it. And so they are like, yeah, well, are we going to put energy in that?
Right.
Is that going to give us the money?
Because
So that's really difficult.
if it's not going to sell the volumes that they're interested in, that's a lot of work for them to put into a product that doesn't sell. But it's hard to know unless you try or unless you trust, what a retailer might be telling you. Now, I am different from a normal retailer. I'm like way out there. Like my design style is totally different. I would say, I design very differently from most flower shops. I'm somewhere in between what you would see from like an Instagram wedding florist. If you took that and made that into like an everyday arrangement, that's more my style. But I'm also not a farmer. I have lots of friends that grow flowers and they make their own design style with flowers that they grow, or they implement flowers from the markets and with their flowers, and that's their own style. So I'm kind of a weird breed myself, which is probably why I like the weird breed so much.
Probably, yeah. Look, Jan Haaksman said, let's hope we get more opportunities to introduce the out-of-the-box varieties. Yeah, of course, we would, as a breeder, we would like to see that, but I think it's still really difficult. It's still difficult. It's also costs.
Yeah.
And we are trying, with Linette. You know the variety,
That's
which
my
is like
favorite variety right now is that color. I love that color. It's very popular. I mean,
Good.
and I use it all the time. I use it in wedding and event work. I used it all of fall. I use it with my holiday designs because that blush color with those richer red tones or holiday tones, it's beautiful with winter colored flowers. So that paired with roses and blush, evergreens, it looks great for winter. It looks great for Valentine's Day. It looks great with spring. Like it literally is a year-round chrysanthemum. It's just so new and I love it. And I know that people love it too.
And look at, the people look at, well, there is not enough Linette in Colombia.
There's
people asking for it, and not a lot of farms are growing it like in a quantity that's needed. So that's crazy for us. It's really nice. We're putting on the work to get the people the cuttings they need for the model plants and all that. So that's but I want to say that when we started promoting Linette, that was in the time that vintage colors were just arriving, just coming up. People were already talking about it. And now it's going to be like almost, now not really bulk, but it's
almost there, right?
It's there.
And when I was there with Uniflor, they were looking for more vintage. Linette was kind of like their only vintage, and they're like, what else can we do? And they had their eyes on specific varieties and different colors, and we would look at something and they're like, is this just fall? Because I know that's the biggest concern when you're doing these crop, like you have to know when to grow it, when to harvest it, and how much you need. So is it just going to be a fall color, or is it going to be like Linette where people will use it year round?
Year round, yeah. No, for me, I was like, this is what we need to promote, and we have to push it. And look what's happening. It's people are catching up, and like even really traditional guys, they were like, Guille, please send me some cuttings because we need Linette. People are calling us only for Linette. I was like,
they can't get it, right? So they're calling like who they know, and they're like, hey, we want this. So I love that. Even the real traditional guys are getting it. That's good.
Yeah, I cannot name them, but those guys I was talking about, man, they are more traditional than Santa Claus.
That's good news for that. I mean, that's good.
Yeah, and then I was like asking them, like, Are you for sure? You're for sure, right? Okay, now I will send you the cuttings, no problem.
Yeah, it'll be fun to see, what's the next Lynette? Like, what's the next vintage that's going to come down the line that people want to see year round, and the demand goes way up for bulk flowers like that. It'll be fun to see what that is.
Well, yeah, well, you saw a lot. You saw also the other breeders. Is there anything which you got in mind right now? You can just say it. If it's not icon, just say it.
Well, particular varieties, no, but I can tell you that an emerging color that I saw was salmon, like a really bright, rich salmon, and I haven't seen that on a widespread market by any means, especially year round. Like maybe, I mean, I couldn't even tell you that I've seen it. So when I was in the greenhouses and I saw that salmon, I was like, "What is this?" It's like such an unbelievable color that you wouldn't expect to see on a chrysanthemum. Yeah. And I'm thinking mostly spray chrysanthemums, and I know they can do disc buds as well. But I would love to see more of the spray chrysanthemums in those colors as well, especially that salmon. That salmon was such a nice color.
So, okay, it is really nice to know something about this. First, I want to say, Pura Vida, he said, agreed, lovely net peach color. Goes with all color schemes. Warm and cold, yeah, well, that's true. And people are combining it with a lot of stuff, you know. And Jan Haakman said, salmon is a fish, grower talk.
I just had it for lunch, it's delicious.
Salmon is a fish. We are talking about vintage pink. You know, it's really difficult. The color, you know, name a color. We have a Pantone color of the year right now is magenta. Are they going to put some different fruits on that one? I don't know. I don't know.
And that one's a unique one because it's not like most people know, especially floral designers, they know magenta as like a pinkish purpley color. And this is a very red magenta. Viva Magenta is like, it's like a richer, darker red. It's not burgundy, it's not wine, it's not bright red. It's somewhere in the middle there with a little bit of pink tone to it. But there's a lot of chrysanthemums and disc buds specifically that fit within that color palette. And again, back to year round, like you can use them in the fall, you can use them for a holiday, Valentine's, and you can use them for wedding and event in the summertime. So I see a lot of potential.
Do you see a lot of, how do you say that? No, I have to formulate it different. Like this Pantone color of the year, is this really set ahead new trends?
You know, what I usually find with Pantone is that they are generally like a year ahead of the trend, in my opinion. So when it was coral a couple of years ago, I think it was 2019.
It was it was 2020.
Was it 2020? Okay. Yeah, you're right. It was 2020. And we didn't really see coral take off until like 2021. Now, the idea of this Viva Magenta, this red, what's funny about that to me is I feel like we've just already been doing that. Like that's a color that's been mixed in with these color palettes already. So why is it going to be so popular? You know, where is it coming from? What's the story behind it? Do I think it's wrong? Absolutely not. I think it's going to be big. I think people love it, so it'll be successful. But it was kind of a surprise because usually it's something weird. You know, it's like something I'm not expecting, or it's like something that's not in fashion right now. And I would say that color definitely is already.
No, and it's crazy. And I know there are some varieties which has this color, and it's really bright and vibrant. So yeah, we have also some varieties with this type of color. So for us, it's nice. We can use it to promote it.
Which varieties would you say that you guys have are fit within that color? Can you name a few?
Yeah, Zumba.
Okay.
Yeah, I think that's the one.
That's the one.
And we have another one which is a code, but it's still on a download because you know, we are still testing it.
Yeah. So you're in it. You're already in it.
yeah. In spray we don't have like really the deep tone. It is a really deep dark tone, and we don't have it in spray. Our sprays are more on the brighter side and the more vibrant pinkish purplish.
Yeah, they really look more pink or purple than a red. Yeah.
Look, Jan. And one going to be named tomorrow.
Oh, really?
Yeah. but hey, I need to be sometimes on the download with stuff, you know. And we had this discussion, Jan and I, yesterday about like when are you going to send away or introduce your variety to the masses, right? To the people on your Instagram accounts and all that. And you know, I know there is a rule like, yeah, don't sell if you cannot, if you don't have it in production, right?
Right. It's hard.
But I'm also like, yeah, well, sometimes yeah, you can, you know,
Like test the
just
waters, right? You want to know.
yeah,
You want
just
some
to
feedback,
get
right?
yeah, just to get the people a bit curious, like what's coming, right? And
Yeah.
sometimes, but if you look at our account, you never see any codes, or they are not named. They are there, but they are not named. You
Ah,
know.
okay.
So if
So it is
people
a
ask
true
us,
tease, yeah.
something, then about a particular variety which is not named, then
Yeah.
I can say them that well, it's still a code, it's still a code, it's still in development,
Hmm.
and so you know. But and if we're talking about trends, what do you see for next year?
I don't really see much of a shift other than what I see are people coming back into color. And this is more, I feel like, in the wedding and event realm. And in my opinion, what I've seen, just my experience in the industry, is that all these trends that happen in wedding events, they kind of trickle down into everyday and then into mass market from there.
Hmm.
So some of the trends that we've seen in recent years in wedding and events have become popular at the retail level and even in the mass market level because there are designers that are driving those trends within the industry. But I see in wedding and event world, like people are coming more into color. They love richer color palettes. And it's not all about like the blush and the neutrals anymore. There's still a lot of that. But it's
Yeah.
fun to see a return to color coming.
Okay. And yeah, because I think and we talked about it with Henk Reuling. You know him, the
No.
guy,
Mm-mm.
the guy who was doing a live with us before you.
Okay.
Maybe you should look at YouTube. We are YouTube guys, and you can find all our Instagram icon selections connect on YouTube as well to rewatch it. This one we will be going to put on YouTube as well. And we touched a theme. He is from he's a Dutch guy living in England, and he's doing like really big arrangements for big malls and all that. And
Oh,
also I
nice.
think
Cool.
yeah, big weddings and also stars. And he was in the Netflix series
Big
Flower
flower
Wars.
fight.
The big flower fight. Yeah, and
I
he's the
watched
guy
it.
with the colored beard.
Yep.
That's Hank.
That's Hank. Okay. I wish I could say I
Okay.
met him. He looks cool.
Yeah, it is crazy. The guy. Yeah, well, what they made is also yeah. And what he is doing, you know, it's crazy. But so we talked about the image of chrysanthemum, right?
Hmm.
Uh, um, do you see also that the image of chrysanthemum is different from the other flowers?
You know, and I can speak to this honestly and candid, and I'm going to. I was a person that years ago I didn't use chrysanthemums. In my eyes, I just thought they were just such a common flower, and there weren't a lot of varieties. You know, it was the white, the pink, the lavender, and the yellow, and that was it. So I kind of didn't have any interest in them when I was trying to produce floral designs that had character and that were really different from what most retailers were doing. Fast forward to now, and in the last couple of years, there's been so many varieties that have come out now with different textures, sizes, color combinations that are so interesting. But also the price point is there. You know, flowers are so expensive right now, so I can make my budget stretch so much further using all these cool and different varieties of chrysanthemums. And they've become a huge part of my brand as a whole because of mostly because of the colors that are available now. You know, I can stick to these color palettes that I'm used to using for my accounts, and people have no idea that they're chrysanthemums, and I can fit the budget because of that. So they're very important to me.
Nice. And can you give some prices right now what you are paying for different species of flowers, and then tell us what you pay for chrysanthemum?
Sure. So, you know, for example, like I haven't really been using many spray roses recently because I'm paying upwards of like $18 a bunch for spray roses. But I can buy, a bunch of disc buds for anywhere between $7.50 to $9.50, depending on what it is. Like Lynette's are more expensive because they're more on demand.
Okay.
Spray chrysanthemums anywhere from $3.50 to $4.50 for a nice big bunch. Can easily take the place of, any dahlias that I would be using. Like the shape of chrysanthemums nowadays, like really give you that round, full feel. And then some of those ball-shaped flowers are really cool as well. And it just doesn't look like a chrysanthemum. And I've seen some that almost replicate Cresspedia. Cresspedia is so expensive right now. $12, $13 a bunch for Cresspedia. Like, it's
Yeah.
crazy. But I can
Yeah, we
buy,
talked about it.
yeah, it's insane. So I can replicate those looks of those other flowers, or just look and feel in general. Like, when I make this design, if I squint and look at it, does it look like it's still a $200 arrangement, even though it's got chrysanthemums in it? And it does.
Yeah, nice. Yeah, you do a good job there. uh, um, do people see the difference in those arrangements if you use more chrysanthemums?
It's all about the composition, right? So it's the combination of chrysanthemums, whether it's multiple kinds of chrysanthemums, but it's also like what you're putting with them. So I use some staple flowers that I use. Carnations, I love them. They're my favorite flower. I use a lot of stock, hypericum berry, hydrangea. Those are all things that I mix. And I will use 1, 2, 3 different types of chrysanthemum in one arrangement, but also a mix of greens, 2, 3 different kinds of foliages. So that composition, all those different textures together, and whatever the color harmony is, really make that arrangement what it is. And it doesn't matter if it's mostly chrysanthemums. It doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter. And if we talk about, for example, weddings really traditional, roses, hydrangeas, is there a way that we can enter with the new disc buds and the colors we have, the vintage colors, which is also popular in weddings?
Because of shortages just in the industry alone when it comes to specific varieties, colors, and how expensive things are getting, everybody should be absolutely open-minded to chrysanthemums in wedding and event work, because it can give you the same look and feel that fits whomever's budget it might be, or just fulfilling the need. Like, you might not be able to get cafe au lait dahlias. So what are you going to use? Lynette.
Okay.
Or something similar, right? You're going to have to deliver that look and that feel without flowers that you can't get, or maybe they're just way too out of budget. And that's what I'm seeing more often than not, is that they're just too expensive.
Should we, as a breeder, maybe also try to present also wedding-related arrangements to show the people, like, hey, this is what you can do wedding arrangements-wise with chrysanthemum?
I think that would be really cool. I know just from my own practice that I can make elevated, high-styled arrangements using chrysanthemums. I do it all the time. And people love it, and people don't recognize them as chrysanthemums. They don't look at it as this budget flower that's in a grocery store bouquet. It doesn't look like that anymore. So you absolutely could showcase chrysanthemums in wedding and event work, and just to say, like, hey, here's the possibilities.
Yeah, because I was thinking about it, and I really wanted to ask you this today, like, hey, if our designer, we have a green field, what, you were here, we have a green field, we can put some chairs up, and we can make like the
you can style a whole photo shoot. Yeah, you can have an arch. Yeah,
the arch and all that. So I was thinking about it, because I think still for you guys as designers, wedding is big, and they buy a lot of flowers.
Absolutely. Yeah, and people generally, I feel like designers just aren't even being considerate of chrysanthemums as wedding and event flowers. Typically, on a typical level, it's definitely when they're building the proposals, they're not like, oh, I'm going to use this X, Y, and Z variety of chrysanthemums because I love the way they look with other flowers, because it's just not something that's in common practice these days.
No. Okay. And do you see also a change in that wedding industry with the use of different flowers, or is it more sober, or... Because when I started in flowers like 5 years ago, weddings were like big, a lot of flowers everywhere. But right now, is that changing? Is it more sober?
It depends on the budget, honestly. And then some people do have this gangbuster budget where they do want flowers everywhere. But even though they have a big budget, it's still a budget. And if they
Hmm.
want flowers everywhere, they want these big lavish weddings, there's got to be different ways to achieve that with fitting in whatever their budget may be. And chrysanthemums are a part of that. But also these smaller scale weddings, most weddings are anywhere from $1,500 to $2,500 in flowers, right? Just the
Hmm.
average wedding. And that doesn't get you much anymore, honestly. Like if a florist or a retailer is charging appropriately for their labor and marking their product up as they should, that really doesn't go that far. So how are you going to do that? People
Yeah.
love the vintage carnations. I do. Those are my favorite. Same thing with the vintage mums. They're coming in. That's what it's going to be. You're going to have to be able to
Yeah.
do it with these staples. And you can because of the colors that they come in.
Yeah. 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 Yeah, well, I have to think about it. So, but I think it's really good to know to have your opinion on that one. And the other thing is, Jan is asking, what is a squim look?
What is that?
I don't know. Probably something you said. I don't know.
Swim look. Hmm.
Or did you said something different and it sounded like squim?
I think that's probably more likely.
Yeah, no, I think so. I think so too. Um, uh, Talking about these, you are talking about moms, you know. Mm, is there also a future for like integrating spray mom into all these designs,
Yeah,
or
I
the
think
focus will still be this book?
disc bud is going to be, that's an easy yes, but the spray mums, I think it just depends on the variety. So it depends on the texture and it depends on the color
Mhm.
more than anything.
Yeah.
And some of these trends that are emerging for next year, one of them encompassing the idea of natural looking or almost like naturally gathered. So the idea of something looking a little bit more wild and untamed. And that's kind of been a trend for a while. But this is coming into consumer trends, right?
Mhm.
So the idea of character or imperfection. And I did see a lot of mums that had more character. They're not perfectly round. They're not just like a cushion or a pillow that looks so perfect. It's something that has some character in the shape of the flower, has character in the tone of the colors. It has different colors between the buds and the flowers, things like that. And that's what people are going to want to see when they use a spray mum. They want something that's different looking, not so commercial.
That's nice. That's nice that you say that. And yeah, I remember that we worked with another designer way back, and the guy was like really good and really big, like a really influencer, flower influencer, Sean Strong. You know
Yeah.
him? And yeah, he was just like you know, like, yeah, well, I never use chrysanthemum, but I'm going to try. Just send me some stuff. And he was like, what the F is this? When we sent him like 20 boxes, you know, like, wow.
Yeah. It's
And
really
and then, you know, it's so what I can understand here is that that's also a switch in the head of the people.
absolutely. Yeah. And it just depends on who's showing them, right? Um, and I do a lot of workshops, right? Even for retailers. DWF is somebody who I do a lot of workshops with. And
Mhm.
the designers I'm working with, when you're in a retail flower shop environment and you're doing kind of the same thing day in and day out with standing orders, it can be a little bit crippling on your creativity.
Okay.
So what I'm trying to do is push people outside of their comfort zone and use materials that they're not necessarily acquainted with. And a lot of these are
Hmm.
chrysanthemums. There's always chrysanthemums in my recipes because I want people to look at them and get excited about them, not go, oh, I don't want to use chrysanthemums in my arrangement because I always have to. But more of a matter of like, ooh, what's this new variety of chrysanthemum? I haven't seen this one, and then they get excited about it.
Yeah, yeah. Do you also have people asking for chrysanthemum for their designs?
So in my environment, I don't let people make requests.
You're like a really good DJ. Really
I'm
good.
like, yeah,
I
no,
don't, we don't like requests.
I feel like my particular brand it has a brand, right? Like people know when they look at my work, they know where it came from, for example.
Hmm.
And so when people place orders from me, sometimes I'll get special requests, but it's more something like, oh, she doesn't like lilies. or like, can it be in this color palette? And generally, like, I can accommodate something like that. But I haven't ever had anybody who's like, it must have this, it's got to have this, this, and this. It's like, no, you'll just get what I make you, and you'll love it, and they do. And it's always these combinations, right?
Yeah. Uh, are you doing like asking to your clients? Do they give you feedback on your arrangements? Like they're saying something about it, say something about the chrysanthemums or the flowers you use, or
I
they
mean,
just satisfied, or and that's it.
so sometimes, in a lot of these accounts, I'm using chrysanthemums for a couple of reasons. One, they're cheap; they don't spend a lot of money, so I have to make
Yeah.
a stretch. But also, like, I
Okay.
try to be really creative with the materials. So I'll pair like uniquely colored chrysanthemums with unique type foliages and carnation. Like, I'll send some lobby arrangements to a hotel, and they'll be all chrysanthemums, carnations, and foliages, and it'll look pretty cool. And what I have found, that no news is good news, right? Like, so if nobody's talking about it, it's great. But every now and then I'll get a question or a text, or I'll be carrying them into the hotel and somebody will stop me and they'll say, what kind of flower is that? It's like, oh, that's just a chrysanthemum. And they're like, they just can't comprehend that, which is really fun.
And then what are you saying?
Yeah. Or
Because
the
then you have
carnations.
had.
Carnations too, that's another one. There's so many unique varieties of carnations, and they'll send me a picture and they'll say, what kind of flower is this? And I'm just like, it's a carnation. And they're like,
Oh, wow.
what?
Okay. Yeah. Okay, nice. Yeah. Hey, next year we're going to have one of the biggest flower events here in Colombia, Pro Flora.
I've heard
Did
Pro
you?
Flora.
Yeah, you heard of it. Are you coming back to Colombia?
I would love to. I mean, absolutely. I've talked about this with other designers too who attend it, but yeah, I've always wanted to attend Pro Flora. It looks so fun.
Yeah, you have to. No, yeah, well, I don't know, but maybe we should talk about it. But Pro Flora is crazy.
I hear it's crazy. I like crazy. Crazy's fun. You gotta keep it
It's
interesting, you don't want to get bored.
no, 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 and everybody's going to be there. So I'm going. I think it's going to be really, really big, really big. It's going to explode.
Because we haven't had it in a couple of years, right?
No, 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 no. They moved it and they canceled it, then they moved it, and then I don't know. And so this year is going to be the first in a lot of years. So I think that a lot of people will be attending, and I saw like because you have to choose on the map where you want to have your booth,
Oh, okay. Yeah, yeah.
and then there is a sort of a lottery, and then you get or another place or you get that place of the booth, and there was already a lot of people with the big booths with I which I knew that people they had tiny booths the last time, so
They're
people are
going
like,
in. People are going in
this
now. Yeah,
pro
they're
flora,
ready.
I'm going to show everything I have. So I think it's going to be really exciting to be there. So yeah, it would be nice you be going. Are you going to Wusa
I
March?
will be at Woopsa, yes. Yep.
Are you going to do some designing there?
Not that I'm aware of. I haven't really done anything design-wise there since 2018. They had a trends program that they used to do every year. I'm not sure
Hmm.
they even do it anymore. Maybe they'll bring it back. But I really enjoyed that. That was really cool. Because I like doing trend homework, and then I like presenting it in a practical way because I'm a very practical guy. But I'll be there designing syndicate sales booth like I usually do, working with
Nice.
that crew. And then I just like to go around and see everybody's booth, see what's new, see what's coming in because, that show's not necessarily for retailers, it's for wholesalers, but I want the inside
Yeah,
look.
yeah, yeah. Of course. No, no, no. It's really good. Yeah, maybe you can explain what is Wusa. We know, but people don't know. Can you explain
Yeah.
what?
Whoops is the Wholesale Floral and Floral Supply Association. So the convention it's for wholesalers. It's for the people that are buying product from these guys and bringing it in and selling it to us.
Yeah.
So it's really cool as a retailer to be able to see, what are the trends from grower to wholesale, and what kinds of new things are the growers showing the wholesalers, and really kind of encourage them like, hey, you should buy that. You should bring that in. I want to see that. And I'll do that. I'll take pictures and I'll send it to my rep at DWF. I'm like, how come I can't get this? I want you to get this for me.
Good, good. Now, last year we were the first. It was the first year we were there with a booth. I was there with my with the general manager, and actually people were calling out of our booth to their people like, "Hey, we need this variety. This is painter. We like it. Please send mother plant cuttings. We are going to try it. We need it. There were people coming in the booth. Oh, you guys are the owners of Lynette. Oh my God. Okay, yeah, I need this.
Yep. Mm-hmm. I
So
think they
yeah.
almost hate it. I think my flower buyer at DWF, I think he almost hates it because I'll send him a picture and he's like, "What is it? Where are you?" Like,
Oh shit. Yeah. He knows that you're like
yeah.
putting pressure on him.
I'm probably like his only customer that actually does that to him because I don't feel like many people get the experience to be out in the field and to see these kinds of things ahead of time. So I try to take
No.
advantage of it for everybody.
No, and I think it's really good. I think, well, I know it's, price of tickets is, it's going up. Getting to Colombia is more easier than way back. I think that there will be so that's the difference. Price is up, but it's more safe to go to Colombia. I think it's will be so nice to have more designers coming and see what we are doing. I
Yeah, I
know
can
that the
say it was pretty easy for me to get there, honestly. Like even in a quick trip, I had no issues. It was really easy. I had, Liberty was taking me around everywhere, and I got to meet so many people and see so much in so little time, and that's kind of amazing. That's like what you do, nationally, not internationally. So that's kind of amazing.
yeah, yeah, no, that's really good. And look, the competition is also looking Floritech Americas. You went to Floritech?
I think I don't remember. There was like 10, 11 that I went to.
And you went to all 10 of them?
It was a lot. It was
That
a
was
lot.
a lot, yeah. Then you probably was at Floritech. I'm almost sure.
I have to look at all my hats. I got like a hat from everybody I went to.
Ah, Floritech says yes, you
Yes, they
did.
did. Yeah, yeah, yeah. All I gotta do is look at the hat and I'll remember exactly which one it was. That's the fun part.
Yeah, of course, yeah, the caps.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah, 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 yeah.
Yep.
Okay,
Everybody
yeah.
gave me a cap. I have a nice selection of caps from all the breeders.
Yeah, that's the gift because of the sun.
Yeah, yeah.
So you can walk around safely with a cap on.
I like it. It brought the highlights out in my hair. It was nice and sunny.
Hey, Derek, there is another thing which I think is really, really interesting. What are you doing? And you are doing this for, I don't know, since I know you, I think. You also arm boxes for people arming vases at home, right?
Yes.
Can you tell a little bit more about that?
Yeah. So I started doing this back in 2017. And there are a number of operations in the States that ship, we call them subscription. I call it subscription, but most of them are just like a bouquet in a box. But I provide the education, and that all comes back to I just love educating. I love workshops. I love workshops with consumers. I love workshops with retailers. So anytime that I can get people's hands on flowers, that brings me joy. So these boxes that I ship out or I deliver, I style them. And when I say I style them, like I'm choosing the materials that are going with it. I'm building those bouquets. And it's different when it's all coming from one farm. I mix things from lots of different farms. So there's lots of different color combinations and textures that all fit into a specific theme. And then I pair it with a vase. And then I make a video and I show them how to put it together using a vase and a special tool. And they just follow along and they put it together. And it's just like what you see on Instagram, on TikTok, on YouTube. Same thing with food. I always compare it to food because everybody eats. So it's like a cooking video. Like you watch it, you have your ingredients, you put it together, you make a meal, you eat it, it's delicious, you had fun. I'm trying to replicate that in flowers.
Yeah, that's really nice. Yeah, that's really nice. Do you have chrysanthemum in those boxes?
Generally, yes. Yeah, typically.
Okay, nice. Yeah, crazy. Now maybe we should send you a box and maybe we can do also a how do you say that like the workshop? I don't know.
Yeah, I think that would be fun.
With icon selection varieties.
Yeah, I would totally be down for that.
You were one of the first. I think it was 50 flowers. 50. That woman was one of the first with those flowers in the box,
Hmm.
right?
Yeah, yeah. Lisa
Yeah,
from 50 Flowers. Yeah.
from 50 flowers. Yeah.
And she's got a ton of different kits online, you know, with hard goods for people to make their own flowers for their wedding or a centerpiece, or there's so many. She's got like 60 different kits, I think. It's a lot.
Yeah, she's really big. How do you get all these? Where do you get the flowers to put in those boxes? And is it worthwhile to stay with that product right now?
So it depends on the time of year. So we're going into winter here, so we don't really have any local product here anymore.
Hmm.
So generally, all my flowers are coming from wholesale. DWF is my main supplier here. In the summertime or in the growing season, you know, it starts in May, I would say, and goes till October. I do a lot of pairing. So there's a lot of local farms around here, and I'll pair things from different farms here with things that I get from the wholesaler and kind of make this mix of product, which can be really fun because there's some unique products that I can get around here too. Some friends of mine that are flower farmers around here grow really unique stuff. And I love taking like the uniqueness of what people grow around here and just mixing it with things that are more considered mass market or commodity, and then making it look totally different. I think that's really cool, and I think that shows people the value of using those types of flowers year round when you can see them with something else. It kind of inspires and makes them try them in a different way.
Uniflor is the only farm you are connected with in Colombia?
Yeah. So I met them actually at one of SAF's Profit Blast that they do. I really love their one-day Profit Blast. I'm actually speaking at another one. It's in San Marcos, Texas, January 14th.
Yeah.
And I'm doing a design program there. But I had set up the syndicate table, and I was there, and they were next to us, and I met them, and they said, "How would you feel about like coming to Colombia?" And I was like, "Oh, I would love to come to Colombia." So they had their own
Best invite ever.
they had their own little expo in Chicago, Liberty Blooms Expo, and I came down there and just did some designs with their chrysanthemums and talked to their wholesalers that came to visit and gave them a little design show basically. And then so they brought me down to Colombia for doing that for them, and I thought it was really cool. I've always wanted. It was like a bucket list thing. It really was to be able to come down there.
Nice.
And then get to see everything and visit all the breeders. It was neat.
It was really exciting, right?
Yeah, I loved it.
I don't know which day you were with us, but then we talked and you said like, well, I'm pretty tired because, you know, I saw so many. I think you were the last day you were with us.
I think it was on the last day.
It was the last day. And then you said like, oh, Gigi, man, I saw so many varieties. I don't even know what I saw.
No, it was such a blur. And I had no idea what I was going to be doing, right? So we went to the very first place the very first day, and I got a feel. I was like, oh, this is what this is going to be like. I'm going to do this like 10 times in like 2 days, in like 3 days. Yeah, it was a lot. It was a lot.
It was a lot. And talking about that Chrysanthemum Week, Jan Haaksman is saying like, Chrysanthemum Week is a great opportunity to see a lot of great stuff. And hats. And hats.
That was my best.
It's true, but can it be a little bit overwhelming?
Sure, yeah. I mean, I don't envy those guys, you know, walking through those greenhouses and having to make decisions and do these trials. That's a lot of responsibility.
It is.
And I didn't make it any easier on them. I'm giving them feedback from a really like a liberal side of the floral design world, right? There's no guarantees. I'm just saying, this is hot, people like this. Do this, and they're like, we'll try.
Yeah, really, really. And for us, it's a week which is one of the most important weeks during the year.
Yeah.
Because a lot of clients from abroad also come in looking at stuff. There will be, they will be talking to farms like, hey, I saw this and this. Can we do those trials? Can we start to introduce that variety? So it's really important. It's a really important week, and I think it was really nice to have you there and that you were here at the Icon to see our varieties, and you gave us some really nice feedback because, I was asking you some stuff like, hey, what do you think? And we take that. It's in our heads. We are communicating that to the breeder.
That's pretty cool, and it was fun. We'd move from bed to bed, and they could just see on my face, I'd be like,
Yeah, yeah. We were in the bed. We were in the beds together, and yeah. I showed you some stuff. You were like, no, this, no, Gigi, no,
And
this,
then you
no.
see something, you're like,
Bang, bang.
yeah.
That's a banger. That's a banger right there.
Exactly.
Hey, I think this is the thing we have to round up a little bit, but I wanna talk one thing which is really important and which I see as a sales guy, the economical situation of the United States. You know that's there. It's the big elephant in the room.
It is.
Uh, um, can you give me like, what do you see? Do you see that sales in flowers going down, or is still good, or you think it will be on the same level as in 2000 Ekis? I don't know. You know?
What I see is that sales and flowers are coming down. I don't think it's a scary slope by any means,
Okay.
because if you think back for the last couple of years, nobody knew it was going to happen, and the
No.
flower market just kind of exploded. So it was on a really high trajectory for a long time. So of course, at some point, you're naturally going to start to descend. But I don't think it looks like anything scary. I do think because of the rise in costs of everything, that floral designers need to be sharper, smarter, and more creative with what they're doing with their products and how they're selling flowers. Because if
Mhm.
you're still doing the same exact thing that you were doing 10 years ago, 20 years ago, you're going to fail. It's
Okay.
too tough of a market right now to keep doing what worked of old. And I'll tell you, I visit a lot of flower shops, and a lot of them still do stuff that I used to do when I was a teenager. Like when I worked in a flower shop, it's still the same.
Yeah.
So if you don't change, and that doesn't mean design style per se, that doesn't mean, change your standing orders. You just have to be smarter with your materials that absolutely need to be pricing appropriately, charging labor, charging for everything. People pay for everything. We pay more for everything now than we ever have. And that we expect that. I know it's going to cost me more, so I'm better with my own budget. So florists can't be any different. They have to adapt with the times too. So it's on a little bit of a recession right now. We'll see if it plateaus at some point. I don't think it's going to be anything devastating by any means, but I do think chrysanthemums are going to become more popular because they're what's affordable.
Yeah. Well, that's nice. And um, yeah. Well, that's really good that you're saying that. But I have to. But then when you put it on the price, and chrysanthemum is like more cheap, we don't get rid of the image.
Yeah. And the same thing happened to carnations, and I'll still have people that are like, I don't want to use carnations. I don't want to use carnations. And then when I show them inspiration where you're using these really neat varieties and colors, and you see them blended with all of these other luxurious flowers, they're like, they have no idea the carnation's even there. It's just a big part of this big picture. And chrysanthemums are the same. And at some point, they'll be able to shake the stigma based on what new varieties are coming out and how they're being used will be important too.
Yeah. Yeah. What do you think that we as a breeder need to do?
Um, I think that you guys have the toughest job because I think what you guys are doing, what you're producing, is really great. Pushing it through to the farm level and satisfying their needs, which then trickles down to the wholesaler, which then trickles down to the retailer or end user, mass market even. From what I saw, you guys have what we want. How do you get it from where you are to where we are? You got to satisfy a lot of needs. And I heard a lot about the demands of growing that crop. Why it's bad or why it's good. How long does it take to flower in the field? How does it ship? Like all of these different things. And I think that you guys take feedback pretty well from your customers. So just keep doing that. I think that that's the key. I love the idea of designers coming out and giving a little bit more of a push on something that somebody might not put any merit to. I think that's probably really important, because it's going to be the uniqueness that helps drive the stigma away from chrysanthemums.
Yeah, that's right, right? Yeah, I think that we should think more, I don't know, having a flower influencer maybe work for us or with us. I got a lot of ideas, but obviously everything costs a lot of money, so I also have to, check what's feasible.
Well, and I'll give you this tip too. You know, you're an Instagram guy. You're out there. You know, find the designers that have the audience. Like, I can't say that I have a huge audience. I think people like me, and I think people like to learn from me. But like, I don't have a huge following by any means. Some designers do. Some designers have a lot of following. Get your products in their hands so that they can love it and show it to their followers. Because I love when I see new products and somebody who's got a big following, and it makes me want to use it. It really does. So yeah, I don't think you necessarily have to bring the influencer to you. I think you can just send your product to the influencer.
Yeah, no, I totally agree. I totally agree. And for now, we are waiting to get a certificate to export from Icon itself to the United States. So I think then we can talk about with the people here in the management, like, hey, shall we contact someone and try to get them involved with us? But that's a step for next year. But yeah, really good and really nice to hear that you agree on that one.
Absolutely.
And there was another thing. I'm gonna touch it. You said like, yeah, well, I'm visiting flower shops, and they are still doing what they did 500 years ago. We need in the flower business more young people, right?
Absolutely. Do you know that I'm considered a young person in this industry? Do you know how old I am? I'm 38 years old. I'm middle-aged. And I'm a young person in this industry? That's crazy.
Yeah.
I've been in this industry. I've been in this industry for over 20 years. I've been in this industry for 22 years. I was a young person then. I definitely don't feel like a young person now. So the idea that I'm still classified as a young person in the industry is kind of scary.
It is. Do you think we can interest the young people to get into the flower world?
I definitely think that people are interested in this industry. It's more about, you know, how do they get into this industry? You know, I got into this industry in vocational school. You know, I was in trade school in high school, and I liked plants. So I went to vocational school and learned floral design, and I got in the industry from there. And people love plants. I think plants are a great gateway to floral design. So the popularity in plant buying and plant ownership with young people, I think, is a really good way to get young people involved in our industry.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I was talking also with Melinda Knuth about it, and you know, it's. I think that's a really big need in the business.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah. And young people, and even more young people on decisive posts.
Mm-hmm.
So that they can make big decisions and
Right.
not the traditional old people. I'm not like saying that old people don't know nothing and they should go, no. But, you know, I think it would be really refreshing to see more young people. You know, you were at SAF.
Mm-hmm.
You were at SAF, right? I was at SAF.
Yep.
We were at SAF. And I saw a lot of gray hairs walking around there.
Yes.
Yeah. Let's be honest. And then I was also talking to some people, and I was like, well, what do we do to mix up this audience a little bit more to make flowers more interesting for the young?
And even if you know, people that were there might have young people on staff, it doesn't do them any good if they're not involved at that higher level, right?
Yeah. 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 I think we. Like, for example, the guys of Jet Fresh Flowers, they do a really good job to level with young people with how they advertise.
Yeah, they do.
They do a really great job on that, and I want to see more of that. Other farms, other flower guys doing that as well, you know. But
well, I think other flower guys will see the success of that from Jet Fresh and try to mimic that success. So hopefully, fingers crossed. I mean,
yeah. Jan is saying like we started using an app for evaluation.
Yeah, I remember seeing that. Yeah, I still have it on my phone.
Yes, really crazy that you have that. Yeah, well, having an app as a catalog, you know, it's on your phone. Everybody is on their phone. I have to say that we were a little bit hesitated initially, but our general manager was like, no, we go full 200%. We're gonna make that app and we're gonna make it a success. And it was a really big success, you know. A lot of people were like, okay, I'll download it, and oh, the service you got on that and all the information, it's it's right there. And if I want to know it and I'm at home and I forgot something, bam, I can open it up and I can see it and I can
Yeah,
check it out.
it was pretty cool that we could just put notes right in the app too for all the specific varieties. I liked that too. That was cool.
Yeah. So I think that's maybe a step that we use like tech into our promotions and in how we are evolving as icon selections. I think that's also a nice step. But yeah, to get to the younger people is it's difficult.
Yeah, it can be. They're
Yeah.
so shielded from the upper parts of the industry. And even until
No,
just recent years, like, people have no idea where their flowers come from. I
no, they
couldn't
don't
have
know.
told you 5 years ago, I couldn't have told you that I knew where hydrangea came from. Like, isn't that kind of crazy?
It is.
And then when
It is,
things
and
happening in the world, when there's disrupts in just different parts of the world and you can't get something and people just don't understand why. Because they don't know what their product is that comes from there. They have no idea.
no, that's true. And I think that what we are doing right now with you and with all the other peoples I had in this Icon Selections Connects is also education.
Hmm.
People are entering our live and are checking out and hearing things like, what? Oh, does that work like that? Does it function like that? And making stuff more interesting. So yeah, I thank you so much that you are with us and also tells us stuff which for me is also like, hey, nice, about the prices and all that.
Yeah.
It's also information which is like worthwhile hearing. Yeah, it's really nice.
Well, thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
Yeah, of course. No, Derek, you and I, we're going like for 5 years now. I saw you, I think the first time in Chicago.
I
I
think it
think it was,
was in Chicago.
yeah,
Um,
I think it was in Chicago. Yeah. So yeah, and it's really nice to have you, and you're always really honest. You say what you are thinking about the varieties, which is really good for us. And I think we should also think about maybe send you a box when we have finally the certificate to send something, and maybe we can do a live again, and where you have a setup and you show us what you can do with the varieties of Icon.
yeah, I would love to do that. That would be amazing.
And yeah, man, put some money in your savings and come to Flora.
All right, I think that's a great idea.
For now, any last words?
um, Thanks for having me. Thanks everybody for watching. And if anybody watches this in the future and you have any further questions, feel free to reach out to me on social media. I'm at Floral Underground, and I'm happy to answer any questions.
Great, great, great. Yeah, well, and in all our socials, where I'm going to put a video, we will put your link as well there. Also, the link of your website, so people can visit your website as well.
Cool.
And yeah, and if you don't know how to do it, just send me a message, and I can hook you up with Derek. It's no problem. For
Sounds
now,
good.
we're gonna finalize this really nice live. Thank you so much, Derek, for being with us. In 2 weeks, we have another one, and we have a great guest, and it's not just one. There probably are 3 guys involved, and it's going to be really fun as well. So I wish you a lot of luck with what are you doing, and yeah, follow us on Icon Selections at Icon Selections and at Floral Underground. See you next time. Ciao.